Hey guys, thanks for checking out the channel. Listen, I haven't posted in a really long time, but you're probably not interested about that. Let's be honest. You're probably interested in knowing about Bayonetta 3, and this is one of those games I really felt passionate about, and I really wanted to talk about. So that's what we're gonna do. Now, first and foremost, let me say, I consider myself a Bayonetta fan. I love Bayo 1, I love Bayo 2, and I was really looking forward to Bayo 3. So please don't hit me with that. He's probably never played before, he probably doesn't know what it's about, that's why he has these thoughts. No, I love Bayonetta. I was very excited for this. In fact, one of my favourite games of all time is Devil May Cry 1 and 3. That said, if anyone tries to compete and tries to say that Bayonetta is as strong as or stronger than Devil May Cry, I can accept that because it's a great game, it's a great franchise, and I own that Bayonetta is dope. That said, Bayonetta 3, first impressions, I really wasn't feeling it. I'll be very honest. It didn't hit me in the way I really wanted it to. Now that doesn't mean that it's not fun, but it's definitely not good. And this may confuse a lot of people. A lot of people may think, well, how can it not be good but still be fun? You ever seen Fast and Furious? Those films are exciting. Those films are fun. Those films are trash. Now, back to Bayonetta 3. And part of the reason why I didn't enjoy it. I want to start first and foremost with the story, right? You can consider this a review, you can consider this my thoughts, but I just want to have a very honest review. I think there's a lot of positive reviews going around the internet, and I think that's great. I am truly excited that a lot of people really enjoyed this game, but I do want to give you a different perspective. Because games these days are 50, 60 pounds, if you're spending that sort of money, why not have a few different perspectives on whether or not you should buy a game? So, the story in Bayonetta 3, simple, doesn't have one. We can move on. Alright. Let's delve into it a bit more. Listen, this is spoiler territory. Bayonetta 3 is essentially everything everywhere all at once, but with Bayonetta. My issue is it doesn't make sense because the Bayonetta that we play as is stronger than every other Bayonetta. And I don't know why. Every other Bayonetta seems to succumb to the enemy and, you know, in a split second get destroyed, while our Bayonetta stares on and thinks, oh no, I wish I could help. This happens several times. The way you get new weapons in this game is when you go to these other realities, these other points in the multiverse, you meet up with these Bayonettas. When they die, their summons are passed down to you. Now, time after time, you watch them die, knowing you're going to get their weapon, as the player, wondering, why doesn't your Bayonetta just help out? Because surely she's seen several Bayonettas die at this point. Surely this is the time for her to, you know, step in. But she doesn't. Time and time again, Bayonettas from other dimensions die. Your Bayonetta looks on and does nothing. And she doesn't die because she's the player Bayonetta. So due to plot armor, she's just stronger than everyone else. And this is the feeling I was left with. This was the takeaway I was left with. The Bayonetta that I am controlling is smarter and more intelligent than everyone else and does not get targeted by the enemy because reasons. That's it, and I really didn't enjoy that aspect of the game. Other than that, I found the plot overall very confusing. I have no idea what's going on. You could offer me £1 million to break down the story. I wouldn't be able to do it. I'd be walking away with no money. I have no idea what's going on. The characters are weird. The enemy, I have no idea what this enemy's motivations are. They want to destroy everything because they need to destroy everything. I don't know. I have no clue what's going on. A friend asked me, you know, the Bayonetta that we're playing as, is this a Bayonetta from Bayonetta 1 and 2, or is this a different realities Bayonetta? And that is a great question. I don't know the answer. Who knows? Anything to do with story, I have no idea in this game. It just makes no sense. Now, you also have Viola. Viola is... In fact, you know what? Let's stick with story. Writing. The writing is terrible. Now, Bayonetta has always been cheesy, in a good way, and it's still got that cheese, but it just doesn't really make any sense. Anyway, back to Viola. Viola is... I don't know, if someone said, how can we make Nero from DMC more trash and put it in a Bayonetta game, we've got Viola. Viola has a sword, which is cool, and she has this summon called Cheshire, which is cool. We'll get onto summons in a moment because believe me, that is a whole different topic. Anyway, Viola's story is that she's there. Why? Because That's her story. In her reality, she watched the Bayonetta die, and then she came back to our timeline. Even though in the time it took her to transport back into our timeline, she should have been killed. But, you know, plot armor. She watches Bayonetta die, she says, oh no, the enemy goes to attack her, and then for some reason it takes 10 years for the enemy to attack her, and she goes, oh no, I'm just gonna quickly go back in time. Yeah, oh no, oh, you're coming to kill me. Oh, too late. Oh, bye. And I'm thinking, considering what the enemy has already previously done in this cutscene so far, you would have been dead. Consistency. I like consistency, and a lot of people take me as a very, very arrogant person, and they feel I speak like I'm better than everyone else. I do not think in any way that I am better than anyone else on this planet. But I do think that a lot of people base things on their emotions, and I try to base things solely on logic. Logically, by the time we play as Viola, she shouldn't be alive because she should have been killed by the enemy. Neither here nor there. Also, my cap is too tight, but I don't want to adjust it now because that's, you know, just a bit weird in the video. And anyway, so we've got Viola. Now, moving on to gameplay, Viola offers a very, very different game mechanic to Bayonetta. Viola can only trigger Witch Time by guarding, which isn't the biggest issue. The big issue is you can't control the missions where you play as Viola. You don't have a separate path for Bayonetta and a separate path for Viola. No, you have Bayonetta, 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 and then randomly a Viola mission. And then you're back to Bayonetta, Bayonetta, Bayonetta. And the issue with this is, after doing several missions, you're in the mind state of press and evade, dodging out of these attacks to trigger your Witch Time, to get in these cool combos. And you're not in the right mindset to play with Viola. So by the time we get to playing as her, you're out of sorts. If it was up to you as the player to decide when you could play as Viola, to pick and choose, perhaps she had her own story path, and you could focus solely on playing as her in that story path, that would be great. In that instance, I think I would have enjoyed her a lot more. But as it stands, the way we are forced to pick her up between Bayonetta missions and these other weird genre missions, didn't really do it for me. That said, her summon is cool. Now, I said I'd talk about summons. Summons are very different in this game. In previous Bayonetta games, you would summon demons using a system called Wicked Weave, which is essentially your combo enders. Boom, 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 the final punch will summon a demon hand or a demon claw or whatever demon is attached to the weapon you're using. In this game, it's very, very different. You summon demons akin to Naruto, you know, they fight alongside you. You press a button, you summon them, and you can control them. You'll control them directly. While you're controlling them, you stand still. You stand still, control these demons. You know, you do your little dance. If you get hit, you get knocked out of, you get knocked out of that movement, and you have to do it again, etc., etc. Now, this is really cool, and it's a really, really, really great way to showcase other demons. Again, it's not just hate for this game. I think there's a lot of things they really tried to do that were really ambitious. So, the mechanic is interesting. However, what this means is they've removed the mechanic from previous games where you could mix and match weapons. In Bayonetta 2, I'm assuming in Bayonetta 1, it's been a while since I played it, but I have played and completed both. In Bayonetta 2, you could equip one weapon to your arms, then you could equip one weapon to your feet. So you could have whips on your arms, chainsaws on your feet, and you're just doing these crazy combos. You are cutting up enemies, whipping enemies. It's basically slavery, but you know, in the context of a platinum game, that's a dark joke. That's just how I am. I'm a fucked up human being. Anyway, it's cool, and I was really, really looking forward to that with this game, and we don't get that in this game. You simply swap weapons like any other action game, more akin to something like Devil May Cry. You press L1. My mind only ever works on PlayStation control prompts. So, you press L1, you change weapons. And that's it. Now, every weapon does have a full move list and a full skill tree. The skill trees work the same with each weapon, the same amount of slots, similar abilities, but you know, you do have a full skill tree. So, more than likely, you will have a favorite weapon once you've unlocked said weapon, right? And that's fine, and that's great. But add in one thing to remove another, that's where it causes a bit of friction, a bit of tension with the fans. For me, I really, really didn't like that. It took me a while to get into it, and I did really miss the combat system of the old game, combining that element of making your own moveset, making your own moves, your own combos. So that was something I really had to get used to. That said, the summons in this game, very cool, and I really appreciate, again, what they tried to do. And it is cool seeing a lot of these summons on the field. Can get a bit hectic, and here's the issue. A game getting hectic is fine. A game getting hectic, when that game can't handle it, that's an issue. And that's the issue with Bayonetta 3. In a nutshell, the game is just messy. It can't handle the action. The camera is all over the place. Sometimes you're fighting something invisible. You're doing combos hoping that you're hitting the enemy you can't see. You don't know what's going on. On top of that, you might have a summon on the field. Enemies might be attacking you and you can't see yourself. The camera's all over the place. Everything's just messy. There will be slowdown. Graphics are terrible. Let's not lie, the graphics are terrible. And I know there are so many people out there, the graphics don't matter as long as the gameplay is good. Fuck that. Okay, we're in 2022. Graphics do matter. Now, it's completely different if certain games go for a bit more of a laid-back art style. You know, I'm talking your Moonlighters, Tunic, different games. You know, Octopath Traveler. There's games where they are consciously using outdated or more retro graphics. That's fine. But when a game is trying to hit that AAA market, right? And come full force and deliver these graphics, and when it fails, that's when I have an issue. And Bayonetta fails tremendously. Graphically, it is horrible. The textures are muddy. The textures are blurry. This is the first game where the photo mode looks worse than the in-game. That is terrible. Most games, you know, they might not look that great, and you hit the photo mode, and then you change the angle, and you change this. You know, you change your character and you get the angle right. You might zoom into their face and you get that perfect screenshot and you're like, dope. No, this game, if you hit photo mode, it looks worse because you just zoom into how muddy and crap the game is. That's a shame. I know people have noted that the facial animations in this game are a lot better, and they are, but great facial animations in a shit game still aren't good. And this was my first impressions of the game. Now, I have completed the game. I put in way over 25 hours. So again, I have had fun with the game. I'm not denying that, but I'm saying on paper, it's not a good game. Take away your love, take away your nostalgia. Bayonetta 3 is not a good game. And this goes further with the FMVs, with the cutscenes. Horrendous. The cinematography is so bad. This is the first game where I have noticed how bad the cinematography is. In the cutscenes, it's really bad. And again, because you've got these really blurry graphics, you've got these very high-paced action scenes, and you can't see what's going on because the characters and the action doesn't stick out enough. It's all blurry, muddy, mixing into one. Very reminiscent of the first Transformers movie, where people said there was a lot of action, but they didn't know what was going on. It was just things crashing all over the screen, and they couldn't really follow the action. That's the same with Bayonetta. So maybe it's a mix of storyboarding combined with graphical limitations. Just didn't work. And yes, I know it's on the Switch, and arguably I shouldn't expect a lot of graphics on the Switch, but if you know you can't bring a vision to life on a said console, then just don't make it. I'm aware it's deeper than that. Studios get paid, there's, you know, we need to hit targets. I know there's a lot that goes into it, but I'm saying as a consumer, I don't care about the hard work that's gone into it. I care about the finished product. And that may be bad for some of you. Some of you may really disagree with that statement, but it is what it is. If you go to a bakery and you order a pastry, you don't care if the chef is sick. You don't care if they spent 10 years making that pastry. You don't care what went into it. You don't care if the sugar ran out halfway. You don't care about the texture or if the machine broke down. You just care about the finished product. You want to know, is this a nice pastry? And that's the same with video games. I don't care if you're developing for the Nintendo Switch, which graphically is underpowered. I don't care if you've got too many ideas and they can't run on screen because, you know, the engine can't keep up and it can't render it properly. I'm the consumer. I have paid you £50. All I care about is, does this product work? Does it live up to the dream that you've sold me? And in that regard, the game does not. So, gameplay. It can be fun. In fact, it can be very fun. When things go right, they go right. Like I said, you have all these fantastic weapons. Absolutely amazing weapons. Absolutely a blast. Okay? It's mixed up. You've got, you know, missions with Jean, which are these kind of side-scrolling missions. I hate when people call her Jean. You know, you've got Viola to kind of mix and match action. But aside from that, all the intricacies, the game's just messy. It's just muddy. You go to select a level and you don't know which level you're selecting because the preview thumbnail doesn't help and it's so small. In fact, you have to check this task of bewitchments for each mission to try and jog your memory to find out what mission it was. And you might be asking, what are bewitchments? What are bewitchments? Bewitchments are things you can complete in each mission. What do they give you? I don't know. Who the fuck knows? Because the game doesn't tell you. Doesn't tell you anything. There's bewitchments. You can complete them. In each mission you can get 3 Umbran tears, which add to your health or to your magic. These are cool. You can also open Bayonetta's equivalent of crates, and you can find items. But the game never tells you, right? Sorry, I had to adjust my hat. That was giving me a headache. But the game never tells you. There's nothing on the mission screen that says, hey, you've got 15 out of 30 crates. You've got 10 out of 20 health pickups. The game doesn't tell you anything. You're just there trying to find everything. Nothing makes sense. The chapter screen doesn't make sense. The menus don't make sense. Nothing in the game feels complete in that way. So in a nutshell, Bayonetta 3. Bayonetta 3 is a fun game. If you love the character Bayonetta, I feel you'll get fun out of this game. But if you are following Bayonetta 1, Bayonetta 2, and you're hoping that this is going to be that next jump, Bayonetta 3, in many ways it is, because they've got so many new mechanics. Like I said, they've got the summon system, they've got some great weapons. I said so many new mechanics, and essentially I named one, but it does have new mechanics. It does have a lot more life to it. You do have that new playable character. So there is a lot more. However, for me, it's arguably more of a sidestep. It feels like a fun Bayonetta game, but it doesn't feel like Bayonetta 3. It doesn't feel like it took everything you loved about Bayonetta 2 and expanded it. Rather, it feels like it took the character of Bayonetta and expanded her and her abilities and where she can go. And it's very, very different to have a good property and a good sequel. As a sequel to Bayonetta 2, I did not enjoy Bayonetta 3. Now that's not to say that Bayonetta 3 is not a fun game, but it wasn't what I wanted coming off Bayonetta 2. Also, they're taking out Tag Climax. Tag Climax was in Bayonetta 2. It was a multiplayer mode. It wasn't the best multiplayer mode by any means, but it was fun. Jumping with your friends, they can each pick a character. Even though Loki wasn't one of the characters you could use in multiplayer mode, which was really, really weird. Aggravates me. Irks me. Anyway, they took that out. And that's a shame, because that would have worked so well in this game. You know, they could have finally put in Loki, you would have still had the Lumen Sage, you know, Jean, Bayo, and then they could have put in Viola, they could have put in other interesting characters. I will say no more, I'll leave something for you guys to discover, but overall, it's not what I wanted from Bayonetta 3. And I think if we're talking about overall package, it's not a great game. It's really not. So, if we're talking about being worth your money, I feel this game is a £20 to £25 pickup. I feel this game is a 5.5 out of 10. I rate 5 as average, I rate 6 as good, 7 as very good, etc, etc. It's in the average mark, and it's not quite good. It's an okay game, it's not quite a good game, so I can't give it a 6. I'm going to give it a 5.5. I think that's fair. So, 5.5 out of 10. I'd say this game's worth 25. 30 if you just feel you need to play it. But for a £50 game titled Bayonetta 3, I was disappointed. The more time I put into the game, the more I start to get out of it, which is a good thing. Leveling up my weapons, you know, just going back and revisiting things. But that's the sort of person I am. I can hate a game and still get my time out of it, because if I paid £50, I'm going to play the heck out of you. Digimon Survive, I've put in hours. I did enjoy that in many ways, but there was a lot of things I didn't like. But that's my 2 cents. Again, not saying it's a bad game, but it's definitely not a great game. I hope this gave some of you a very different perspective. I hope you guys are okay with the fact that I stumbled through half of this. Like I said, I have not recorded in ages, but I thought, hey, let me jump on, let me do something creative. You know, sometimes you just need the outlet, you need to get it all out before your head goes pop. But yeah, thanks for checking out the video. Let me know in the comments below if you will be getting the game, if you've already got the game. What do you think? Did you agree with a lot of the things I've said? Do you think that Bayonetta 3 was disappointing? Do you think that Bayonetta 3 had a lot of issues? Or do you think I'm an arsehole? Do you think Bayonetta 3 is the best Platinum game you've ever played and that's completely amazing? Because I've heard that as well. So, let me know. I'll leave the rest to you. Peace out. And if you're not subscribed and you want to, feel free. I post a video once, twice a decade. That's about it. Anyway guys, peace out. Much love. Peace.